Video game DLC is a touchy subject. When done right, it can help extend the life of a game by offering new areas to explore and new storylines to experience. When done wrong, it can feel like a cynical cash grab made to empty our wallets. There's also the rarer occasion of DLC going in a completely different direction to the games they're based off. Today we'll take a look at 5 times DLC was completely different to the main game. As always, if you think we've missed anything off our list, let us know in the comments down below. The fantastic Red Dead Redemption told a story of one man's attempt to atone for his past actions of crime and violence. It was somewhat surprising that Rockstar announced that they'd be releasing the Undead Nightmare DLC pack.
What's going on?
Well, it's the government's fault.
Ain't it always?
Well, they let in too many foreigners. Just shut the goddamn border, or things like this happen. My daughter was just some satanic demon's lunch because of the goddamn government.
In a move that nobody saw coming, instead of a continuation of the gritty storytelling of the base game, Undead Nightmare instead thrust you into a world which had been overrun by zombies. The expansion was released during a period in gaming where zombies were all the rage, and it ended up paying off, with the DLC being well received and great value for money. Instead of offering a horde mode where you'd fight off waves of zombies, Undead Nightmare featured a fully fledged campaign with a decent, if unremarkable, story. If you've never had a chance to try the Undead Nightmare DLC, it's available to play on the Xbox One now thanks to the awesome backwards compatible feature. Okay, so this isn't an add-on as such, more of an expansion to the excellent Far Cry 3. Again, in a move that nobody saw coming, Ubisoft decided to release Blood Dragon as a separate downloadable game. Whilst Far Cry 3 told a sometimes brutal story of one man's attempt to survive on an island inhabited by deranged pirates and iconic bad guys, this expansion replaces the pirates with giant dinosaurs. The map in Blood Dragon is the same as that of Far Cry 3, but it's been given quite the overhaul. Gone is a bright tropical paradise, instead replaced by a dark, almost apocalyptic sky. The game pokes fun at 80s action movies with various callbacks and references to classic movies of the era, whilst also being a pretty enjoyable game to play. As was the case with Undead Nightmare, Far Cry Blood Dragon is available to play on the Xbox One's backward compatibility program.
I knew you'd make it. There's more of me and you than just programming. We even share the same blue-colored blood now, son.
Wrong, Sloan. My blood is red, white, and blue.
Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha!
The Dead Rising series has never been one to take itself too seriously. The previous games in this series have allowed you to express yourself in a variety of wacky masks, weapons and outfits. It's also very common for Capcom, the developer and publisher of the Dead Rising games, to reference their own games as seen recently in Dead Rising 4 and Resident Evil 7. With all this taken into account, the release of Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition X Plus Alpha, try saying that 3 times fast, was still a bit of a surprise. The rather long name actually pokes fun at the trend of re-releasing Street Fighter games with a few added characters and adding Alpha or Turbo X at the end. The DLC itself takes a lot of cues from old school beat 'em ups and contains tons of obscure references including Master Dino, Crisis and Rival Schools. Like Blood Dragon, the expansion takes place inside the base game map, but has been given a lick of neon paint to fit with the theme of the DLC.
I've covered wars, you know.
Ready, go!
Generally, the Dead Rising DLC was a bit of a disappointment, but the Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition X Plus Alpha is definitely something you should consider grabbing if you're a Dead Rising fan or a fan of Capcom in general. Just don't make me say that name again.
Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha!
Boy, I'm hungry. What is taking so long?
Resident Evil 7 is a game that, for a Capcom game, takes itself very seriously. Now, I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil 7, but even I have to admit that it can be quite stressful to play as tension ramps up. It seems that Capcom agreed and released the Banned Footage Volume 2 DLC, along with a life or death game of blackjack and an expansion which gives you an insight into the Baker family before the events of the game. You also gain access to an extra mode, Jack's 55th birthday. Jack Baker is the father of the Baker family and one of the most imposing enemies in video games, and to remind us all that even maniacal psychopaths who just won't stay dead need to eat, you are tasked with scouring the Baker family house to ensure Jack is fed.
So, dang. Ugh.
This is great.
It's a great way to unwind after the tension and stress of the base game, and is a great example of DLC done right. Just make sure you don't serve Papa Baker sprouts. He hates sprouts.
When the gates of hell open, the Guernsey come forth, an undead army at their beck and all of Hong Kong at their mercy.
That was the worst movie of all time.
Sleeping Dogs is one of the most underrated games of last generation. Many people, myself included, saw it as a rip-off of the GTA series and wasn't convinced it'd be much more than that. What we got when Sleeping Dogs was released was a solid open world with a great hand-to-hand combat system and interesting story.
Persistent, are you? Well, give it up. Whatever you think you are, no match.
The game left fans wanting more, and we were giving various DLC packs of differing quality. One expansion pack that truly offered something different was a Nightmare in North Point DLC, which replaced the super serious tone of the base game with a supernatural threat.
Let her go.
I don't think so, Wei Shen.
During this DLC, you find that your normal fighting techniques have no effect, so instead you're giving magical powers to overcome the otherworldly presence. Now, whilst the DLC received mediocre reviews, it mixed up the base gameplay enough to warrant a mention on our countdown. And that's our list. Which DLC packs do you think differed enough from the base game to warrant a mention? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.